Welcome to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit.
It's the big guy. Get in here.
And today, it's Wise Wednesday.
You're so wise, but like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
Giving you the smartest financial advice in every aspect of your financial life.
You're so money you don't even know it.
And now, the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit on ESPN Radio 1700.
Hey, it's your tomorrow.
Welcome. It is that time again. It is your Wise Wednesday. It's JJ John Drotes in the hot seat, Synergy One Lending. Thank you for taking time out of your day to make yourself smarter than everybody else. I mean, that's why we do the show, and that's why the show has been on air for many years now. I've been a part of this show for over 3.5 years, and happy to bring you the information that we do, and happy to bring the guests that we do. And we'll do the intro in just a minute here. Let's do a quick market update as we roll into the noon hour. And amazingly enough, just another day of green. We just keep making this trek back up, and we'll talk about the Dow here. It's getting close, right around the corner from 17,000 once again. And remember the last time it kind of topped over that mark, it kind of came tumbling back a little bit. NASDAQ's hitting high levels. S&P's green today. And let's talk about interest rates. I mean, Monday we talked about it. Last week we talked about it. Here we are once again. And I'm going to get on my soapbox about interest rates once again. And we're losing some ground once again. So remember last week, Friday was a great day. Friday was a great day. Some stuff overseas started happening, and some bombs were going off from Russia. And what does that do to the market? Well, you know, money starts moving around, and money starts moving into safe havens into the bond markets. We saw a nice rally on Friday into the bond markets. We saw a rally into mortgage-backed securities, albeit not as large as the bonds, but we move into this week, and we're just moving backwards a little bit because you know what? Those things, those wars, those bombings, they seem to resolve them quite fast. And until it's a large calamity that's just moving on a constant basis, and I mean a big war, we're probably going to see this little back and forth a little bit. So, you know, if you're in escrow, if you're looking to refinance, I mean, don't wait. Just don't be the one that waits for the interest rates to go back into the threes. And don't get me wrong, if you're an FHA borrower or a VA borrower, or you're looking at an ARM loan or a 15-year fix, something like that, you're in the threes. So that's good news for you. But don't be the one that's looking for the 30-year fixed at 3.25, because it's probably not going to get there again, okay? Hasn't been there for over a year. It's probably not going to get there maybe in your entire life again. I mean, who knows? That was the bottom of the barrel. A lot of different components went into that. And you know what? I'll just do the intro right now because I want your opinion on this, Dan. We have Dan Tomasi from the Ruth Pugh Group Century 21 Award in the studio today. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, JJ. Nice to be here.
Well, I'm very happy to have you here. You've been in the real estate market for a long time. You don't just work with, but you manage one of the top real estate groups in San Diego County here for the past 5 years. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And that doesn't come without a lot of experience, and we'll get to that. But, you know, if you've been following the markets, the stock markets, you know, it's just interesting. We've had just this major push up. And we'll just talk about the Dow. We got over 17,000 on the Dow, and then it felt just lofty and heavy way up there, and it kind of came down a little bit. I'm not talking about a crash. I mean, if we were talking about a crash, we'd be down in the 15s and the 14s. But, you know, back to 16.5, let's call it. And then slowly trekking back up. Well, you know, one thing that people have to realize, and this is what's, you know, when you hear all these stories out there about the bubbles and the busts in the stock market, and it's feeling that pressure, at least from an article standpoint, just know that, you know, it's possible that all this stuff that's going on in Europe right now between Russia and Ukraine and these different, you know, European countries, that market was really weak for a long period of time, and they were struggling over there. And when the investors finally saw the opportunity to take advantage of it as they were gaining some ground, just like the U.S., they pumped a lot of money into those markets. And with this recent sort of news, you start getting slowdowns. You start getting economical data that's worrisome to the marketplace. And over $4 billion in the last 6 weeks have come out of European ETFs. So where's that money going? I mean, that's what we have to take a look at, right? Where's the money going, Dan? And it's possible that we're seeing kind of a little push up over here in the States from a piece of this action, right?
Absolutely. People want to get their earnings in a safe haven like real estate.
Yep. And just be careful. I'm not saying that there's a bubble. I'm not saying that we're going to have a blow up on the stock market, but just be diversified. Make sure you're diversified and make sure you're careful with your money. Make sure you know who you're investing with. And, we are in Southern California here. And one of the reasons why we do talk about real estate so much is because when you talk about diversification, real estate has to be a piece of that. It's got to be a piece of it. It's a hard asset, something you can live in, something you can rent, something you can sell down the road, hopefully for some profit. There's a tax advantage typically, not all the time, but typically with home ownership. So a lot of different reasons why we talk about real estate. But if you don't have it in your portfolio, it's definitely something that you need to have. And Dan, I don't know if you saw this. Are you an Uber user?
You know what? I am for the first time last week.
So first time
Uber user.
So I'm going to admit this once again to our audience. I don't use Uber because I have a BlackBerry, and you can chuckle now. It's okay. It's okay to laugh because everybody laughs at me, and I get it. I mean, I'm the one holding the company up right now. I love the phone. Always have. I dropped it over the weekend. Getting out of the car, it was on my lap. Forgot it was on my lap. Got out of the car. SUV went flying. Battery out. Cover off. Thing still works. No crack screen. No, what's going to happen? I just pop my battery back in, put the cover back on, and boom, I'm off and running.
Oh, great. No bloody fingers.
No bloody fingers, exactly, right? And you see a lot of crack screens out there. So it's one of the reasons why I like it. It's durable. But this is amazing. So Uber is an amazing company that incredibly, and I have to say, I think it's way overvalued right now with their last funding round. They're valuing the company at $18.2 billion, Dan.
Wow.
$18.2 billion. It's insane to me. But this is pretty innovative, and I'm just wondering, I mean, I've been with people that have used Uber. I remember I flew into Chicago last year, and I had a town car picking me up. This was a planned town car ahead of time, picking me up. And I'm waiting at my town car spot, and a lot of town cars are rolling by, and mine's nowhere to be found. I actually had to call the company and go, hey, I'm here. I don't know what you're watching, but I'm here. And some couple rolls up, and they're like, oh, man, the taxi line's long. Let's just Uber. And it was my first, insight into Uber. And they did something on their phone. And I'm telling you, within 3 minutes, that couple was picked up and gone. And I'm still sitting there waiting for my town car,
Not only that, JJ, you can message the guy or the gal who's picking you up. Send them a text. Hey, I'm over here, not over there.
It's crazy. I mean, it's an amazing company, amazing thing that they're doing, but they're adding something to it now, and they're adding a service, and this isn't everywhere, but it's called an on-demand delivery service. So, and we're talking about medicine, toiletries, and other drugstore products. They're testing the feature right now in a few parts in Washington, D.C., probably a stomping ground for Uber. That's why they test it there. But it's kind of like, you look up Uber, you look up the corner store, and you figure out what you need. And since they have drivers that are available on the spot within minutes away, these drivers can now possibly deliver you things that you might need. Now, Dan, here's my question for you. I probably won't use this until I upgrade to a new phone because I can't. But it seems awfully cool. But I do know that in my household, I got 2 little kids, wife, we do use online purchasing all the time. Now, not groceries and things like that, but Amazon and Zappos and, things that you get stuff the next day.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
It's free shipping. It's crazy. I don't know if people need stuff in minutes. And will people use this service? I mean, would you use a service like this to get a roll of toilet paper?
Probably not a roll of toilet paper.
No. What would you do you see yourself using it though?
You know what? I can see my family potentially using it. Maybe my kids go to the doctor and they need to pick up a prescription. My wife's on the way home. She doesn't have to get them out of the car. Both kids, walk them into the drugstore, wait for 15 minutes. The drugs could be at home waiting for us when we get there.
I like that. That is true. And if that's something that can be done, I see your point. I've been dealing with a lot of medical stuff with my daughter recently in the last few months. And one of the biggest pain in the rears is you see the doctor. You get the prescription. Now you're done. You're not done. Now you got to go to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And you got to wait. And I don't know if they're delivering prescription drugs. That seems a little crazy to me if they were, but it's possible. It says medicines. Even if you were in the middle of the night, it's midnight, and what if you're alone and you have a little kid and you need Advil, right? You call your Uber driver. I mean, it's an amazing thing. I think it's a great concept. I wish our society wasn't so I need everything now.
Right.
But we are.
We are.
We're spoiled. And just remember that. I mean, just remember that. When you're frustrated in line and things are taking a little bit longer than you might like, just remember that we are a very spoiled society. We live in the greatest place in the world. And, you just got to remember that. So this next story, Dan, is a little bit crazy to me. It's a little bit scary to me, but I get it too. This is a story on CNN. But workers are spending more time planning vacations than they are retirement. And this is, it's just a study, but it's, people are spending more time researching even which car to buy than investing, really looking into even their 401ks and like where the money's going. And I will admit, I'm going to admit this. I'm one of those people. I mean, in my 401k, I picked, some things that look good, allocated percentages, and crossing my fingers, And when it does come to vacation, we're sitting on the couch at night, and where are we going, right? Which house are we going to rent or whatever? And it's a scary deal. Do you find? I mean, you work with a lot of people that are buying, selling homes, and I think even when you're looking to buy real estate, you have to invest a lot of time into doing so, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
But when you hear of this, this is retirement. This is down the road. I mean, our golden ages, right? We're supposed to be able to kick back and then take vacations because we've planned right. Do you think that it's a societal type of thing or just more of just our generation that this is the reason for it?
I think it almost goes back to your first story about Uber. You want it now. So you want to have fun now on the beach. You're not thinking about when you retire in 30 or 40 years. I mean, holy cow. Don't get me to think more than 5 years ahead. Now you're wanting me to think 20 or 30 years in the future.
Yeah.
I think those two stories are closely correlated, and it goes back to who we are as a society, and we want it right now.
Right now. And it's a little scary. I just, I bring this up because I want people to think about it. I want you to think about it because I'm going to think about it. I'm going to go home. I mean, this is a discussion that needs to happen. Where's our money going? Where is it? Really, what's happening with it? Because we want to take vacations in 20 years, 23 years, if I retire at 65. I want to take vacations. I want to plan for those then and have the money to do so. So I urge you all to take a look at your portfolios. Make sure you know where the money is. Make sure you know where it's going. And do that before you look up the next car that you want to buy. When we come back, we have Dan Tomasi in the studio today, the Ruth Pugh Group Century 21 Award. And one of the biggest brains in real estate in San Diego County is going to bring you the information you need to know to make you a little bit smarter than the next guy when we come back. It's your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN. It's the Mr. Credit Show, and it is John Giroux, JJ, in the hot seat today with Synergy One Lending. If you have any questions for me or our guest today, please just go to askjjnow.com. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you as quickly as possible. Make sure that you have the information that you need to make the right decisions. So Dan Tomasi in the studio today, the Ruth Pugh Group Century 21 Award. So Dan, it's very interesting. I always want people to know kind of where you come from, what your background is, and you have a pretty interesting background. I mean, you run one of the biggest teams here in San Diego County in the real estate market. And I know that, the Ruth Pugh name is out there a lot. It's a lot. But how did you get into the market? I mean, what brought you to this point?
I started back in 1998, and a family friend asked me if I wanted to be a real estate appraiser. Quite frankly, I said, well, what do they do? And one part of the story was you get to make your own hours. Well, I'm a surfer, and that whole thing of getting to make your own hours was pretty appealing to me. Yes. I could surf around my schedule. So I started appraising real estate, went to the classes, started being the apprentice, and I learned how to value real estate, quite frankly. Great basis for what I do today.
That is awesome.
And yeah perfect. And then we started doing spec home development in La Jolla. So I learned how to run fund controls, check insurances for subcontractors, and go through that whole process. So that was really interesting. And then that brought us to the condo conversion market. We'd buy apartment buildings, convert them into condos. And we did about 52 of those projects around San Diego County.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so wore many hats, helped grow the company from 3 employees to 150, and wore all the hats throughout the process of pain and all that, because there's a lot of figuring it out when you're running that fast.
Yeah, and that many people.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to manage 10 people, let alone 100 people. It's not. Well, that's okay. So you have experience here. I mean, that's the main thing. And, it's really important for people to understand. I mean, I know that when it comes to buying and selling real estate, we all have family and friends that are there, right? We all know somebody.
Of course.
And you just can't always just go with that person because you know them, because they're family, because they're friends. I mean, you're making a big financial decision, so make sure you're working with the right person or people. It's very important. And having a background, I mean, think of going back to 98 and what Dan has been through, and what you've seen is just incredible. It really is. So let's talk about the team for a moment.
Sure.
Just so we understand what that looks like. You kind of manage this team. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, I know numbers and I know what people are doing. I mean, the team year to date, folks, I mean, from January to today, you have 165 closed or pending transactions. It's a lot of transactions in real estate. And so you guys are crushing it. But that doesn't come without knowing what you're doing. So let's talk about the team for a second. What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 18 agents on the team. We have a full-time transaction coordinator, a full-time listing coordinator. We just brought on a sales manager to help our agents because we're transferring from more of a traditional marketplace than more of an investor-based marketplace last year. And we felt that it was necessary to bring on somebody to help in that end, to own our skills, so to speak.
Okay.
And then we have Ruth and myself, and we have a marketing guy, Jarrett, Ruth's son, who just joined our team, who's bringing a lot of value in the marketing side of our business to help us generate more transactions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, what's amazing is you have a lot of people, but you don't have a lot of people to do that many transactions, which is very special. That means you guys are very special at what you do, and you know how to manage it properly. So let's talk about the real estate market right now. You mentioned something just kind of interesting in that statement. The market is shifting a little bit. So what did it look like last year, and what does it look like today?
Yeah, good question. It depends on what part of last year you want to ask about, because it seemed like it changed 3 times last year.
Yes.
It went from a lot of short sales to investor deals that then started falling away. The investors helped raise a lot of the values around San Diego County and helping fix those homes that needed it. To then when interest rates went up a point last year in the summertime and everything turned off, everybody was like hitting the panic button. It was interesting. We had it just shut off,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that was interesting.
That's a good word for it.
yeah, to say the least, right? But then September came back around and we started doing deals again, and it seemed to get on a good pace. The early part of last year, there was very little inventory on the market. It was just a dogfight to get a deal done, and you really had to work hard. And, you talk to our volume. I think that we work hard. We work really, really hard, and we solve problems. Problems come up in every single transaction. It's not getting the deal. It's getting to the end of the deal with a client who you can manage their expectations. And I kind of laugh. I tell my clients sometimes, look, don't freak out. You're going to be asked a lot of questions. You're going to be asked questions twice, 3 times. You're going to think you've already answered it. But in reality, this is just part of the process. And until I say, oh boy, don't worry, things are going right. So it's a lot about managing expectations throughout that whole process.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of going off on a tangent.
No, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. So what does it look? I mean, what is the market looking like right now? I mean, I know inventory levels have picked up a little bit. At least double. I don't know what levels they're at right now, but the last I knew, there were over 8,000 homes, somewhere in that range, listed for sale. I mean, has that? What's kind of the feeling out there in the community?
It depends on who you ask, and it depends on what submarket they're in, if they specialize in a submarket. I like to look at my team as kind of a microcosm of the market, because we do have quite a few agents and we work a bunch of different areas. And I can say we're seeing transactions pick up. Our numbers are probably the best this month that they've been all year.
Okay.
Some of it is some of the management practices that we've put in place in helping get used to this traditional market. But, I think it's a healthy market. I think it's more balanced. If inventory continues to go up, we're going to have issues with that. But, I think there's good opportunities for both buyers and sellers in this marketplace. And if you pick the right agent who doesn't give you a line of BS just to get the listing, if you price the property right and you give it the right market exposure, you're going to end up with the result that you want, and that's to sell your home for the best amount of money in this market in the least amount of time. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned, it's who you talk to, and I agree with that, right? Because it doesn't matter what topic that you bring up. It's always who you talk to. There's a lot of naysayers out there. There's a lot of just negative people out there, and it's not that we're sitting here in an unrealistic zone. It's just that you see the real market. When you do a lot of transactions, it's good because you have a better pulse on what reality is. I mean, let's face it, if you're only doing a couple deals every couple months, you're probably going to think that the market's not that great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you guys are doing, 10 plus deals every month. Well, maybe even 20 deals, actually.
Yeah.
So, it's busy, and that's how you keep the pulse on the market. And sometimes you need to work with somebody like that. Not sometimes, all the time you need to work with somebody like that has a pulse on the marketplace. If you want to get in touch with Dan, I'm gonna throw his number out right now. Obviously, he can't talk to you while he's on air. And if he does, then I'll have to pull him out of the room. But his cell phone number is 858-344-3782. It's 858-344-3782. It's Dan Tomasi with Century 21 and the Ruth Pugh Group. What is your and listen, I'm throwing you a crystal ball question. It's okay. Nobody's going to hold you to it. But I'm just curious. I mean, here we are in August. What does it look like? What do you feel like the market looks like through the end of the year?
I think we're going to remain in equilibrium. I think that there's going to be good opportunities for both buyers and sellers. I do see inventory picking up after Thanksgiving. I think it's going to get slow like it seasonally does. I think we're going to remain good. Interest rates are still at a point where you got to take advantage of them right now. I mean, this is a generational opportunity to lock into low interest rates.
Yep.
And it's a problem that I see in the future for resales, because you're going to have quote unquote rate lock with people who don't want to get rid of their low interest rates to get what's a more realistic interest rate in the future. So you're going to have people that don't want to move.
That's an interesting point. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And you did bring in some listings, which we'll get to later, some listings that are coming to the market. Remember, they're not on the market yet. So if you've been looking for a home, you want to find that special home, you might find it right here today on the Mr. Credit Show at 1700 ESPN. We'll be right back.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour on the Mr. Credit Show. JJ John Giroux in the hot seat. Synergy One Lending. Have any questions from myself or our panel today? Dan Tomasi with the Ruth Pugh Group, Century 21 Award. Just go to askjjnow.com and send me an email. Shoot me a text. We'll get back to you. Get your question answered as fast as we possibly can. So, one thing that, Dan, before the break we were talking about is just kind of what the market's been looking like and through the end of the year. And I like your outlook on that. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a very stabilized, sort of equal market, good for both sides of the transaction. And don't think if you're a seller or a buyer that you need to win in the game, because it's not a game that we're playing here, right? We're talking about real estate. We're talking about a transaction. We're not playing a baseball game. And, it's something that I see out there. I work with buyers, and your team works with everybody. But, everybody wants to win,
You couldn't have said that better. That was so refreshing to hear. It's not about winning right now. It's about putting the two sides together for a win-win, for two wins, right? Because the buyer's going to win and the seller's going to win. When we let the ego, quote unquote, get in, the wanting to win, that's when deals fall apart.
Yep.
When you need that little extra. And that's where our job comes in as professionals to say, well, wait a second. Is this really something that you want to lose this deal over? Inventory is going up. There's not 7 other buyers knocking on the door here.
Right.
So take that win thing or ego, quote unquote, out of the transaction, and let's work together. Let's find a win-win. Let's make this twice as good.
It's a business transaction. And Dan, you have the appraisal experience, which is great. I can't tell people how important that is in a transaction and when you're working with somebody to have that experience, because people get pretty confused on the whole appraisal issue. But it's always interesting. We talk about winning this game, right, of this real estate transaction, and it's always interesting to me because you have those few people that'll enter escrow, and they just don't want to really pay the price that they agreed upon, and they're just really hoping that the appraisal comes in low. So they can go back and negotiate. Remember, you signed a contract for a price. And yes, everything's negotiable. But when you go in on that contract, just plan on paying that price, because you can't be disappointed when the appraisal comes in at value, at the price that you agreed to pay. And it's funny to me when people call and they're anxious. They can't wait for that appraisal to come in because they think that it's going to come in low so they can get what they think is a deal and win the game. And it just isn't the way the game is played. It's not a game. It's a business transaction. Treat it as such. So one thing I wanted to touch base on, and we're going to get to this a little bit later, but you guys have a new program to help homeowners that need some repairs before listing their property. And we'll get to that in a touch. But, with the team sort of behind you, I kind of want to know, you see what people are doing out there. There's a lot of agents in the county. But what do you guys do differently, let's say, to help a seller?
We don't wait around. We follow up tenaciously. When we get an offer, we like to respond right away. We're not afraid to pick up the phone when we need to try to find a buyer or an agent. We do reverse prospecting at our office. We call around all of our open houses. We door knock for our open houses to try to generate traffic and buyers for that property.
Wow.
We go the extra mile. Ruth, as a leader, she's not one to rest on her laurels. It's got to be now, because when you wait in a transaction, people lose interest. So it's really paramount that you take action immediately when you need to. Listen to what your buyers and sellers have to say, and honor that, because that's your job.
Yeah.
I tell every one of my clients, you're my boss. You tell me what you want me to do. And I always get a look of, oh, wow, I never really thought of it that way.
You are working for them.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you go to market the property, I mean, obviously it gets listed. You're door knocking, which is amazing because I think that's a lost art. It used to be something that a decent amount of agents would do, and now you don't see many doing it. And I love the art, and it's an art of it's guerrilla marketing. Let's face it. I mean, it's ground level marketing the home that's for sale.
Well, wait, JJ, I can't just Facebook people and have them come to me? I've got to actually go and knock on the door to have a conversation? What's wrong? What's going on here?
That's the Uber mentality right there. We're going full circle again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. This isn't an easy business, and you've got to be willing to work harder than the other person next to you that's out there trying to do the same thing you are. You mentioned earlier, everybody knows somebody in the business. That's great, but when you have to tell that person what you're not happy with, it's not going to be as easy of a conversation that when you're dealing with a professional. I have thick skin. I've seen it all. Our team has seen it all. And when you work with one of our agents on our team, you don't only get them, you get the whole team. You get my experience in helping solve problems as they come up. You get Ruth's know-how of how to solve problems. And they do come up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's how you handle those problems and create that win-win that gets the transaction to the finish line that I think is what you want ultimately.
Yeah, that is what you want. If you want to get in touch with Dan, it's pretty easy to do. I'm going to give you his direct number. Grab a pen, write it down. You may not need it, but give it to somebody. I know you know somebody that does need it. Cell phone direct is 858-344-3782. 858-344-3782. That's Dan Tomasi with Century 21 Award, the Ruth Pugh team who's in the studio today. So, as we move forward, we've seen kind of inventory levels kind of creeping up. They've been kind of just, equal for a few months now. But, as we could continue to see inventory levels continue to rise. And, I mean, what are some of the things that you can do to move or help move those properties with those increasing inventory levels? Yeah,
that's a great question. And I always I have this one email service. It's called Fast Email Flyers. And as inventory rises, my inbox gets filled with all of these flyers that people think sell properties. They really don't. But some things that we do, it's a presentation, right? We take professional photos of our listings. We help our clients stage their properties. We'll go in and blue tape saying, move this, take this out of the home. Let's put this picture over here. Let's do that. We do the reverse prospecting, which is actually calling real estate agents that have searches set up within the parameters of that particular listing and ask if their client wants to come and take a look at that home that we just put on the market, or quite honestly, that may be just coming to the market.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I mean, I don't want you to share all your secrets today, but I appreciate you giving that out. I mean, this is what they're doing for you. I mean, if you're, looking to sell your house and you want to get that top dollar for it, I mean, these guys are actually calling other real estate agents on your behalf to get your home sold faster. And that's what you need. That's what you want. So let's flip it around a little bit. Let's say you're a buyer. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for my first house. What are some of the things that you guys do to help get an offer accepted? I mean, you guys may even have a listing that suits my needs, which is great. But I'm in that $300,000 to $400,000 dollar range, and it's a spot where I just keep getting outbid. I mean, how can you help me kind of get into a place?
With the amount of transactions we do, we have a lot of relationships with realtors. And the first question I ask my realtors when they submit offers are, hey, what's the name of the agent? Maybe I know him. I'll personally give them a call on your behalf. I ask my lenders to get involved. Hey, could you give the listing agent a phone call, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what you do, tell them the strengths of our client that we have here. We personally deliver contracts. Believe it or not, knee to knee, belly to belly. We'd like to give this to you and introduce ourselves and let you know who we are and how we're going to make this an easy transaction for you, because we don't want to win. We only want to win-win. So I think it's a relationship business. And the more that you can let the other side know that not only do you have a good competitive offer, which may not necessarily be the highest in price, we know how to get a transaction closed, and we know not how to be a thorn in your side, and we're going to do this as a team. because
love it.
we're ultimately a team here in doing what we want for our clients.
I love it. It's an awesome deal. And that's Dan Tomasi with the Ruth Pugh Group, Century 21 Award, 858-344-3782. When we come back, we're going to talk about a new program that they have kind of rolling out, or actually have rolled out, to help homeowners that need some repairs on their home prior to listing, and some listings that are coming to the market. They're not there yet. It might be the house that you've been looking for on your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour on this Wise Wednesday, and I know we are making you wiser. On this Wednesday, we have Dan Tomasi with the Ruth Pugh Group, Century 21 Award. Dan's got a lot of real estate experience, been in the business since 1998, and they have a new program we're going to touch base on here. So this is for the homeowner. You're getting ready to sell your house, but you know what? You need a little bit of love done to the home before it's really ready to go. So Dan, real quick, let's run through this. I mean, how does this work?
Yeah, there's two different products that we're going to be rolling out. One is if your home needs a little bit of love and you don't necessarily have the cash right now to pull out of your pocket to make it what it needs to be, we've created a little fund, and that little fund will put a second trust deed on your property, give you the money, probably help you manage that little project that's going to help you get the highest amount of money for your listing to help it sell, and create a better presentation package for the potential buyers out there to help you stand out above the rest.
Love it. Love it. And
Yeah.
what's the second piece?
The second piece is more of a bigger remodel project where you've got to maybe replace some kitchens or new carpet, new paint, new kitchens. You need some granite to update the home. Maybe you had a loved one who passed away and you were left the home and you want to maximize your investment, so to speak.
Yes.
And so what this product does is it teams you up with us as a real estate company. We have a construction company, no money out of your pocket. They'll record a deed of trust on your property. So when that property closes, then they're paid back.
Interesting. So that's the one that needs a lot of love, let's just say.
Yeah.
And you know, you bring up a good point just in the sense that, you know, it could be just that maybe, you know, we all have parents that are getting, you know, a little bit older. Maybe it's a sibling, or maybe it's just an unexpected passing of a loved one, and you're left with a house, and you don't know what to do with it, and it just hasn't been kept up. You want to maximize what you're getting for the house, and the way to do that is kind of bring it up to speed, if you will, to make it more of a turnkey property for those that want to come in and buy it. And this is the way for you to do that. Great opportunity to take advantage of this. It's Dan Tomasi with the Ruth Pugh Group Century 21 Award. And it's their new program that they're going to help out those homeowners. So, Dan, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And I know a lot of people wait to hear about these properties. People have gone through a couple years, some of them, trying to get into a property, and they just haven't probably worked with the right person. I mean, that's you know, sometimes you just got to like get down to the basics. Why haven't you gotten an offer accepted?
Yeah.
There's a reason why. And if you're working with somebody that's experienced and good, if you're offering a realistic price point for the property that you're trying to get, otherwise you'll never buy a home. But properties that aren't on the market yet, let's talk about the first property. It's not on the MLS yet. It's coming to the market. We have a lot of people that just sit around and wait for this moment because we can maybe get a step ahead in the buying process and get that first foot in the door, if you will. So let's talk about this first property.
Yeah, the first property is 17433 Bernardo Oaks Drive. It's across the street from the golf course. It's all remodeled, fresh, ready to go. Quartz countertops, new tile floor, new carpet. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,100 square feet, huge master bedroom, big master suite, a nice big grassy backyard with a view, just steps to the Rancho Bernardo Inn. Literally, I mean, you can walk there. Walk across the street to the golf course.
Fine dining. They have
Yeah.
an amazing chef over there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's going to be a great listing. I helped the developer redesign the house. We spent a lot of time in there. It's got a beautiful olive tree out front. I love olive trees.
Nice.
But it's going to be.
So this is turnkey.
Yeah, this is turnkey. This is
walk in,
put your
you're
bags
ready
down.
to go.
Yeah, go throw the ball in the backyard.
And do we have a price point for it?
This one's going to be $699 to $719.
$719. Okay.
It's priced really, really well for the neighborhood. I looked over the comps. I always look at the actives, when we're going through the process, when we list the home, and then as we're going through, just to see what the competition is, see what's happening in the market, to make sure that we're a step ahead. If we need to make adjustments, we do.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So this is the way. I mean, again, this is not a house that you're going to find online right now. It's not going to be on the MLS. You need to call Dan today to preview this house before it hits the market to get that leg up on the competition. It's 858-344-3782. Property number 2. Let's go.
Property number 2 is we have some new construction projects that we have been entrusted to sell for some developers. One's out in Lakeside. Big estate-size homes, 1.5 lots, 2-acre lots. Not all usable, but gives you some space. Not something that you readily see in San Diego. Brand new construction. Just about to start closing the first few. There's only 3 left.
Okay.
So those 3 are probably going to sell fast. And then it's going to be another 5 or 6 months while the developer builds some more homes for us to sell out there. Okay. And that's the Vineyards property. Boy, my cell phone's dead. I have the address here.
No,
but
that's okay. Well, the people need to call you,
Yeah.
and when you plug it in, you're probably going to have a bunch of calls and voicemails to call people back on. So there's 3 left in this phase right now. And what do we have for a price point on those?
Those start at $699.
$699 as well.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I mean, that is a really good price point for family homes. You want to get in on this. I mean, again, this is brand new construction. I mean, you're going to walk in, not a thing to do. It's like buying a new car. It smells like a new house. It feels like a new house. Nobody's walked on the carpet. Nobody is, laid down in the kitchen yet. You can do all those things yourself. And this is the way to get ahead. I mean, if you want a home, try to beat the competition, this is the way to do it. That's why we talk about these properties that are not on the market. And then you have one more for me.
Yeah, we've got another new home construction project in the Granite Hills area of El Cajon. I have 3 homes left to sell there as well. Nice little community, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2,867 square feet. Nice little community, great homes. They come with first year, the developer takes care of anything that goes wrong. Years 2 through 10, the major components of the home are taken care of for you. Little peace of mind.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's like that 1-year warranty on a car, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you still have to go find your car.
I know.
You've been looking for 2 years.
That's part of the problem. I'm looking for that warranty that lasts forever.
Just use Uber.
Exactly. What is the price point on these Granite Hills deals?
They start at $579.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, $579, $589, and $599.
Okay, I like it.
Great value there.
That's a huge value. I mean, these are family homes, great area, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, almost 3,000 square feet. I'm telling you, brand new construction, you guys. This is how you get into a house. I mean, if you want to preview one, just call Dan Tomasi, Century 21 Award, 858-344-3782. That's 858-344-3782. And you can tell why they do so many transactions because look at the inventory that they have just coming to the marketplace right now. So you want to go to somebody that, has the inventory. They can help you through that. And Dan, I wanted to dispel this myth. I mean, there was an article on CNN, and it just made me feel kind of yucky when I read it. And that's a funny word to use, but it did. And we probably won't get to it all, but let's get to this one point. Because people, as prices have gone up, people are scared that buying a home is not a great investment. So I want to get your opinion. Is buying a home still a good investment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I read that article you sent over in preparation for today, and I saw what he said, and I was appalled. I said, where does this guy get it? Where does he live, first and foremost? I was looking for the source. I couldn't find it. And so I subscribe to this one news source. It's called Keeping Current Matters, and it's a guy, Steve Harney. He's from New York, and they gather all kinds of third-party statistics and data about the market in general, and he always has this one really cool slide that I always go back to, and as soon as I read that article, I'm like, oh, I'm bringing this slide, because it's perfect. So it measures where we've been from January of 2000 through August of 2014. The source is Yahoo and Case-Shiller, so two very respected sources of information. So if you were to invest in the Dow, it would have returned 51.3% on your money. S&P, 38%, the NASDAQ, 10.5%, and real estate, 70.6% return. So when I think that it was like 3 or 5% on that article,
Yep.
I was just like, well, I don't know what that is.
know.
I mean, maybe
I
it's 3% this year. Okay, so if you have a $500,000 home, that's $15,000.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal. And, I think when we talk about real estate and diversification in your portfolio, I mean, it's, if you live in the house, even better, right? Because then it's a home. I mean, it's not just an investment, it's a home. And beyond the home, a place to raise your kids or just, just go home to yourself on a daily basis, or maybe your own loved one. It's you do gain equity over time. And, it's funny, there's people that purchased in the height of the markets, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Bought in 2005, October 2005. Pretty darn close to the top. I lost some value. Yep, still live there. And you know what? I've gained value since I bought it at the height of the market in 2005. And I haven't really done that much to the house. So, you can go through the tough times. You can go, it's a cycle, right? You just like everything in life, that we have cycles. So, it's a home. I have my kids there. I have my wife there. We live there. We love the home. And yes, it is an investment. And over time, I'm paying down the mortgage. And I'm building equity by paying down the mortgage, but I'm also building equity just by appreciation. And that's the two parts to it. And I have the tax advantage. So if you want to understand the value of home ownership, reach out. Let's go to askjjnow.com. It's John Jarot's Synergy One Lending. And if you want to talk to Dan, you can reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with him. Or just call him directly, 858-344-3782. Dan, time goes by fast on these 1-hour programs. I thank you for coming in and taking your busy time out of your day to come in and join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, JJ. I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
Well, we brought a lot of good stuff to the marketplace to make everybody a little bit wiser on this Wednesday. It's your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN, Mr. Credit Radio.
If you would like to contact Mr. Credit or access any free offers mentioned on the show, just go to mrcredit.org. That's mrcredit.org.